Today, Ambassador Nikki Haley becomes the first 2024 presidential candidate to go to the southern border and talk about a plan she has to fix it. Haley, 2024 presidential candidate, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations and former governor of South Carolina, in focus now, live from the border. Ambassador Haley, I want to start with what's happening in the north, because that's breaking news today. We knew that was like a little trickle. There were a few people, but now we're finding bodies of people. And, you know, that's an indication they're waiting for the moment to get in. We see that on the southern border. What do you make of what's happening up north now?
You know, I'll tell you that all of this, Harris, this is a dereliction of duty by President Biden. I don't know why the Democrats are allowing him to run. You look at what's happened. We were in Hondo, Texas earlier, a small town, about 8,000 people. And we met with the sheriff, we met with judges, we met with business owners. And the idea that they're saying that, you know, basically D.C. is expecting them to treat this as every day as usual. And this isn't every day for them. This is about the fact that they see illegal immigrants coming off the train tracks. They see them going into their property. They see that law enforcement's having to take time to arrest them, only to have them turned over to Border Patrol and then released later again. We can't allow this to continue to happen. Biden thinks if he doesn't talk about it, it doesn't exist. But for the people now in Hondo, Texas, for the people here now in Del Rio, it does exist every day. And now it is in every state in the country.
Okay. So I know from your time at the United Nations, you saw a whole lot of countries with border issues. And I mean, look at Haiti and the Dominican Republic right now. I mean, there are a whole lot of things around the world. No one ever expected our country to be dealing with this. How do you fix it?
Well, first of all, we have no border. What border? There is no border. So the first thing is you have to actually have a border. The second thing is we would do what I did as governor of South Carolina. We passed one of the harshest illegal immigration bills in the country. Do a mandatory E-Verify program where businesses have to ensure that they are hiring people that are only in this country legally. You make sure you fire the 87,000 IRS agents and instead put 25,000 Border Patrol and ICE agents on the ground. We stop handing out any money to illegal immigrants. Billions of dollars are being allowed under Biden's watch to go to illegal immigrants. That has to stop. Defund sanctuary cities like what we saw in San Antonio. When they're allowed to go and accept these illegal immigrants and protect them and continue to do what they're doing, it's wrong. And then let's make sure we go back to remain in Mexico, because that's been stopped. We keep Title 42. And instead of catch and release, you go to catch and deport. That's how we will fix the illegal immigration problem. And we will make sure it's a top priority when I'm in office.
So one thing I didn't hear there, it doesn't sound like your plan costs new money. It sounds like you're able to do everything that you're talking about with so many existing funds.
Well, first of all, you have to look at this is a case of just following the law. We are a country of laws. The second you stop being a country of laws, you give up everything this country was founded on. If they just allowed us to follow the law, we don't have people in this country illegally. My parents came here legally. They put in the time, they put in the price. My parents say now, if someone doesn't follow the laws to come to this country, they won't follow the laws to stay in this country. We need to go back to what that means. The laws are in place. The problem is we have a president and we have a Congress that's not making sure we enforce those laws. We've got to do that, and DC's got to get to work. When are they going to finally do something about immigration in this country? They're not doing it because they think it's a great campaign issue. This is not a campaign issue. This is a national security issue, and the people of Texas and every state in the country don't deserve what's happening right now.
You know, the reason I brought up the new money is because that's what Biden's going to do. He's going to put money in these other areas, and it is a stark difference between what you're talking about and what the current administration is doing, because money without a plan, that never solves anything, just to throw cash at it. Because if it did, it'd be working better now. All right, I want to get to more with you before I know you've got a big afternoon plan, because you're going to lay out some things as well, but you've given us a good look at how you would fix the border. We are waiting for former President Donald Trump to head to New York City for his arraignment. That happens. He'll leave today within this hour. He has raised a staggering $5 million in just the last 48 hours after he was indicted. His former national security advisor, John Bolton, says what it could mean for 2024. Let's watch and listen.
I'm not worried about Alvin Bragg hurting Donald Trump. I'm worried about Alvin Bragg benefiting Donald Trump. And this is where I think the outcome of the case is so important. If Trump is acquitted or he gets the case dismissed because it's not legally sufficient or for whatever reason, that will be rocket fuel because he can say, I told you it was a political prosecution. I told you I was being picked on, and now I've been vindicated.
What do you make of what he's saying there?
I mean, look, I'm not going to make anything of what Bolton says. What I'll tell you is you got a liberal prosecutor that's doing political revenge against a former president. I mean, that's not a precedent that you want to have. Here you had multiple prosecutors that refused to actually prosecute this case, yet this guy's doing that. And I'm sitting in Del Rio, Texas, where we have 4.8 million illegal immigrants crossing the border, and no one is talking about that. That's the issue, Harris, is we're dealing with a lot of political drama that's unnecessary because you've got political, vengeful people out there, and we should be talking about the fact that every state is now a border state. We had 70,000 people die of fentanyl and synthetic opioid deaths in 2021. You've got the #1 cause of deaths for 18 to 49-year-olds is now synthetic opioids. Yet we're talking about political revenge of a former president. It doesn't make sense. And it's why the New York prosecutors are trying to waste our time. But the American people need to remember this is what counts. This is what we need to be talking about. And this is where the focus needs to be, because this is a national security threat to every American family.
Before I let you go, whenever I've been to the border recently and other people have been there is always this idea that when people like yourself go, it shines the bully pulpit, it shines the light. What would you say to the current president of the United States about focusing more on politics? It would seem he's on a 20-day trip to talk about the economy. I don't know how you sell high inflation, but we'll see what happens. What would you say to Biden?
What I'd say to President Biden is shame on you. Shame on you, because you are putting every single American at risk. This is a national security threat. You are allowing illegal immigrants to come across the border that are putting weight on our law enforcement. They're hurting our families. They're following in our schools. They're going into our hospitals. Shame on you, President Biden. This is your job. Your job is to protect the American people. You're not doing it. You don't deserve to be president. The Democrats, shameful for them for allowing him to run again. This should be a top priority for anybody running for president. If it's not a top priority for our current president, it will be a top priority when I'm president.
Republican presidential candidate for 2024, Nikki Haley, at the border today, joining us in Focus. Thank you.
Go to NikkiHaley.com.
People in